my cousin was giving us tips on how we should do like introductions and stuff like that based on other Twitch people that he's watched. So he's got a lot of insight, and he helped us update the overlay and come up with the voice stuff.
The updated overlay is not being used at
present.
Yeah.
So he found a way to split the
videos.
the two people that I call.
Oh, okay.
Either way, it says we're live. So I've got the show notes open and my daughter yelling in the background. So this should be great. Just another walk in the park. It's episode 5. I don't know why that wasn't updated. But without further ado, welcome to the Battlewatch. This is episode 5. We're going to be talking about attackers today, as it says in the description. First and foremost, if there's any viewers, listeners that want to hear anything, have any information for us, let us know in the Facebook group or on Twitter. I am at dr4g3n, and it will give us plenty of insight for the next podcast that we go into. Next week is going to be a very juicy one that we've been reading about. A lot of complainers on the Facebook groups for Overwatch, and overall it's just we need information to talk about that you guys want to hear. So thanks again for everybody that's stopping by already, and we just want to bring in more people with more information. Without further ado, let's introduce the Battlewatch commanders. We have the Freak, Mark, as always. How you doing, Mark?
Good, how are you?
Good, very well. Myself, DR4G3N Dragon, or Chad, if you want to call me Chad. Don't call me Chad. And then we have my man sitting right next to me. He's my cousin Steve. He also is a Twitch streamer at Legend of Steve. Do you have a Twitter at Legend of Steve as well? All right. So how you doing, Steve?
Fantastic.
Good deal.
The Legend of Steve.
So first, my question to both of you guys, and we do a question before the show just so that we can kick off. Maybe people are getting ready to join the chat and they can interact with us as well. Why PC over console? And I've seen so many people get into this. There's a war between consoles and PCs. I understand it, and I understand it to an extent just because I'm a PC player mainly. I've played the console versions. I'm not very good with my hand-eye coordination with the thumbsticks and all that crap. I'd rather use a mouse. But what is your decision? Let's start with the guest. Steve, how you doing?
Hi. So I'm pretty much Switzerland on this, since I have both Xbox One and PC Overwatch.
Okay.
But things I notice is PC's a lot harder because the point and click is a lot more accurate.
Makes sense.
But at the same time, everybody that owns an Xbox One has pretty much the same hardware. There's no graphics or processor difference. Maybe somebody on PC is going to run smoother than the other.
Okay.
But PC's definitely a step up because of the graphic stuff that you can have, and it's a lot smoother.
So you think it's the more money, the better gaming type?
Yeah, I think the hardcore gamers play more on PC, and so the competition is a lot higher.
Okay.
Where a lot of especially younger adults they have Xbox One, so they picked up the game. They think it's a Call of Duty thing, so you're going to have a lot more run and gunners that don't want to work as a team.
Makes sense.
Has been my experience so far, at least.
Okay. Mark, what about you, PC or console?
Yeah, I prefer PC, but again, it's just a preference for me. I have a PlayStation 4. I do not have an Xbox. I play games for both. It just depends. Like first-person shooters, I will buy them for the PC, because for me personally, I like the more precise controls that I get out of a PC, specifically a mouse, rather than just the little thumb guys on the controller.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I agree with Steve on every aspect of what he said, but the other thing I'd like to point out is typically your PC players and the people that are going to invest their money, they buy a PC that can run a game like this. Typically they're going to be more adults, you'd think.
Yeah.
Or adult, you know what I mean, further along in their lives to afford a PC like that, unless they're using mommy and daddy's PC. Whereas if you're playing on a console, you're more likely to encounter a younger age group, which can affect, obviously multiplayer games and the attitudes of the people that you meet within those games. So, but yeah, there's good and bad to both sides. I have a personal preference of PC, but I also have a console. I'm not completely against it.
Yeah. So I like the fact, to me, I like playing more one-player games with a console because I feel like I would rather watch the atmosphere and everything on a giant big screen. But when I want to like be precise and when I want to be very accurate with my shots, or very, like, I'm a Quake 2 player from the get-go. I played Team Fortress 2. I did the Call of Duty Online a little bit, and then I did a lot of Counter-Strike. So I love PC through and through, just because I feel I'm more accurate with the WASD and the mouse than I am with a thumb and another thumb. But it's, to me, I'm definitely PC, but I like the option of being able to display a giant screen and seeing everything. I feel like with a PC monitor, you get more a specific, like, you know, the graphics that you have, and you're able to see everything that you want to see, not so much what the gamers want, what the developers want to show you. So on that, I don't know if you guys heard, but they are going to be, poor Winston, they are going to be putting Xbox One players and PS4 players together to be able to play on the same realm. So, yeah, so it's going to be a cross-platform game, which is, I think they've only done a very limited number of these games in the past, and Blizzard is pushing that forward. So it's going to be good for everybody. I think it'll be really good for PS4 players, because a lot of PS4 players complain that there's not enough competition in the PS4 realm when they play against other PS4 players, and it seems like Xbox, like, everybody likes to play competitively. So they'll give a lot more, you'll be able to game a lot faster because there'll be not a lot more players, and it'll just be more enjoyable, I think. Anything to add to that, guys?
Not really, no.
I think cross-platform's awesome. Like I was saying in the background, Rocket League did it.
Okay.
And they even cross-platform to PC. And I play on PC and Xbox as well because I like that game. And definitely when PC came to Xbox, you saw the huge jump of competition. The real skilled player and all the Xbox guys had to definitely step up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the one game I've ever used a controller on PC to play.
Okay.
Because the WASD was just too difficult for me to get the smooth movements you need in that game.
Makes sense.
But the cross-platform, I think, is an awesome idea.
So speaking of, the reason you bought on both platforms, and I don't know if you did the same for Overwatch, but the reason you bought on PC and Xbox was because your friends played on Xbox, and your family, I guess, would play on PC, correct? So the one thing to note about the PC over console thing, the console players have always had this inner war, like Xbox One versus PlayStation, and now the fact that they can intermingle, it could increase team sizes, it could increase, like, competitive teams because different professional players play on one or the other. So it's going to be really interesting how they go. I wonder if they're going to start, like, going to integrate cross-platform with competitive. I wouldn't see why not, unless there's a big server issue between either of the two factions, let's say. But before we go into the next thing, we have a little clip for you guys to hear.
Weekly update.
All right, so the weekly update is public test region is live. I don't know if either of you guys have tested this out. I downloaded it. I have not played in it, but I've seen a couple YouTube videos displaying it. And it seems like the public test region went live to test out solely competitive playing. The downside of this is a couple things. One, you have to spend another 6 to 7 gigabytes to download the game. I know that doesn't sound a lot to a lot of PC players, but for some people that like to overload their PCs with different games, it's just, why am I downloading Overwatch again, right? So the second bad part of this is when you do the public test realm server, it says that you gain your experience. And this is really key to note. So when they say that, you're gaining your experience on a copy of a character that you have. So for me, I'm D4G3N. If I go into the public test realm server, it is going to copy my D4G3N at its current level, and then I'm going to be able to update that character. And when I go back to the regular game, everything that I have earned on that character in the public test region is not going to transfer over. I can get loot boxes, I can get upgraded items, I can get something we're going to talk about next, but other than that, you can't really carry anything over, and that is the whole reason. Like, I downloaded it just so that in the future I can, and I encourage people to download it because it helps the developers out a ton. But I'm only going to use it to test out future characters and see where they go, what flaws they have, what way to counter them is, so that when they finally get released onto the competitive scene, you have an edge. And I would suggest that for other people. The other thing is, I just want to gain experience with my character right now. I want to get to 100. I want to prestige. I see people walking around with stars all the time, and I would love to have one of those stars on my shoulder, but it's going to take time, and if I start playing a public test round, that time is going to be wasted. So first of all, Mark, I know that you said no at the beginning, so what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, I would probably use it to, like you say, test things, but I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it because I'm all about my level progression as well.
Okay.
Not that level really means anything, because we all know level just equates to time rather than ability.
You just know that it equates to a blue in a loot box. That's all.
Yes, exactly. So I would use it to test things, but I wouldn't play it all the time.
Gotcha. All right. What about you, Steve?
I mean, I haven't been able to obviously get on because I'm in the process of moving, so my computer's in a box.
Okay.
But I mean, I still watch all the streams and everything, and the thought of playing a game and not progressing kind of definitely hinders me. So it'd be something I'd touch on, but I'm okay waiting for the final product.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, moving on. We've got a Widowmaker nerf on the public test realm server. So her Infrasight now announces her ultimate to everybody in the entire map. Opponents, players, like every single player is going to know that you're wall hacking. And I think that's a bad thing, speaking from a competitive player, because of the fact that now people know I don't even remember how long it is. I believe it's a 10 second that you can see through the wall. So I know to stand behind a wall, count to 10, and then go back into the fray. And I feel like a lot more people are going to do that with this, which will probably decrease the time that Widowmaker is played by other players. Steve, you first. What is your thought on this?
Not a fan. I feel like if I'm a squishy and I hear that, I'm more likely to want to run and hide.
Yeah.
That's just what it's going to come down to. It's like, now I know I'm an easy kill for people. I'd rather bunker down with some teammates and wait it out. So I think you're going to see, when that goes off, you're going to see a lot more people doing that, and it makes her ult kind of one-sided.
Okay. What about you, Mark?
I completely agree with that. My only question is if you also have a Widowmaker on your team, is there any way of knowing which one has called it, or are they both going to sound the same?
That's a very good point. And that's going to come down to a lot of stuff we're going to talk about next week. Team communication. You guys got to know who is calling this stuff. If I hear, and I'm just going to screw it up again, Rocket Tekijakuro, if I hear that and I don't see it anywhere, unless I see a red coming through the wall at me, I'm not going to know if it was my Hanzo or their Hanzo, because you know that everybody picks Hanzo on offense. But yeah, so that's a really good point. I wonder how that's going to go. Go for it.
You know, it is a good point to an extent, because now that I think about it a bit more, it's almost a moot point, because if it is your team, you're going to see those players behind the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true.
Any chance we can rewind about 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, we'll just hit Tracer's recall and go back like 3 seconds.
Yeah,
Cool.
Tracer.
So, competitive is being tested. Like I said earlier, the public test region was all for competitive. It seems like what they're going to do is the best of 3 games. We don't have an official word for this because obviously it's in testing, but the best of 3 games is going to be tested out, and whoever is the highest on one of those is going to going to progress, going to get the competitive points. I don't know if they've made it so that both teams get competitive points even if you lose, or if it's going to be one of these only this team gets it and this team gets minus to their points, or if this team gets a little bit and this team gets a lot. I could only imagine that one team is going to get minus so they can get knocked back in ranks, and one team can go forward in ranks. But the upside to that is there's going to be more skilled teams in the top tiers. The downside to that is if you're a player that's going on to play as a single player and you get pugs that just stink because they're trying to start at the first time, then you're just going to keep decreasing and decreasing because you're going to be playing against teams of 6 other people, which I really hope they limit it to like maybe 3 people on a team, because I don't want to go into every game playing against an entire team of 6.
Yeah.
So
go for it.
On that note, I don't want to keep referencing this game too much. Rocket League had the same type of competitive start,
Okay.
where it was team-based win-lose.
Mhm.
So I didn't have many teammates, so I'd get stuck with people that weren't good. I kept decreasing, and then they actually changed it, where now it's individually based on how you scored in that game versus killed it. So this would be kill to death, and
Right.
or how many points you get, things like that.
Okay.
So, depending how they want to play it.
And that's how they switch up the matchmaking?
Yep.
Gotcha. So before we move on, this wasn't in the show notes, but I meant to put it in the show notes. They mentioned in the Facebook groups, I believe it was Jeff Kaplan, who was the developer. He mentioned that the rewards so far for the competitive seasons are you get points in order to spend on different sprays, different skins, I believe he mentioned, and different gold items. Now those gold items are going to be each weapon. So I don't know if you guys remember back in the day where we had GoldenEye and you could get the golden PP7.
Yep.
And that was like the one-shot kill. I mean, it's not going to be like that. It's just going to, like for Reinhardt, he's going to have a golden hammer.
Yeah. It's a skin is all it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I want to know is with Reinhardt's other suits, I want to have a golden axe. That'd be sweet. Because the black and gold, the Blackheart skin.
Now you're just being greedy.
I know, but I mean, I might as well. Everybody else is complaining, and they're getting what they want, so why not? All right, so moving on, the main topic for this episode, we are talking about attackers. This is the last set of characters we're going to be talking about, and then we go into the nitty-gritty of the game. We're going to be talking about specifics, different maps, different combinations. We're going to be talking about community play, things like that. But I digress a little bit, and the first character we are going to be talking about is Genji. He starts out with 200 health. Well, he stays at 200 health. I don't know why I said he starts out. It's not like he levels. His abilities, his main attack is a shuriken, where he fires 3 shurikens in a straight line, depending on if you're moving or not. So it's 3 shurikens where you're aiming. The total amount of these shurikens is 84 damage if you connect with all 3. And that is 84 damage at headshot range. So that's the maximum amount of damage he can do with those 3. His alternate is a 3 shurikens in a spread fire range. So he shoots them in basically a triangle going forward, kind of like a cone almost. And that does, surprisingly, 124 damage when hit at maximum efficiency. So what I first noticed about this is that this can be used like very aggressively with his other abilities, with other players. If you get pulled in by like a Roadhog with his hook, there's a lot of things you can benefit from using him. Moving down his defensive ability, and I just say this is defensive because this is how everybody else uses it, is deflect. He has rounds that get sent towards him, and he can reflect or deflect all these rounds back at the enemies. This lasts for 2 seconds, and it's on an 8-second cooldown. This is your number one way to use Genji. If you don't use this, you will get melted. He only has 200 health. There's so many players that deal up to 200 damage with 1 or 2 shots, and being able to reflect this is key. Now there's some things that you can't reflect. For instance, you can't reflect Reinhardt's hit because he's a melee character. You can't reflect Winston's electric shots. You cannot deflect Zarya's beam, or you cannot deflect Mei's snow shot, whatever she does. Now, on contrary to that, there are so many other things you can deflect. Bastion is dead if he's shooting straight at you. Mark is very good at countering a Genji because he knows when the Genji's going to deflect. There is Hanzo's ultimate. His arrow, when he shoots it, is another one you can deflect and destroy their entire team if they're right behind him. There's so many other things. We had a player the other day deflect a McCree ultimate, his High Noon, and he got it as a play of the game. So Genji is a very good character. He's very easy to he's a difficult character to learn, but once you master him, he's very easy to take over a game. His passive ability, he can climb walls and he can double jump. He has an evasion ability of Swift Strike, which resets if he eliminates an enemy. So this deals 50 damage and has an 8-second cooldown. This is just to get in or get out, depending on how you use it. So if you want to get in on an attack, make sure you kill that enemy, because being able to get away from a fight is paramount. Finally, his ultimate is Dragon Blade. It does 120 damage per strike. He gets 9 slashes for a total of 1080 damage, which is ridiculous. I've seen so many Genjis get play of the game just by using this one ability, if they know how to they know how to pinpoint characters. Now, this is one of those where you have to focus on a character and take them out, or else you're dead. Because, again, he only has 200 health and can be melted down. But, again, Genji's a very good character. How to use, we've been over that. Survivability, it's all about how you play the character. If you want to use that Swift Strike to go in, then you're an offensive Genji. If you want to use it to get out, then you're going to survive a lot longer and help your team out more. He's got the climb walls and the double jump, so he can get out of an area if, for instance, there's a Justice Reigns from above, which we'll talk about later, or anything else. He's very good on the payload and the capture point because of the fact that his deflect can stop a lot of ultimates. On the capture point, he can deflect the Pharah's ultimate. On the push the payload, he can deflect the Torbjorns and the Bastions as they're trying to stop your payload from progressing. What to listen for? Here we go. Raijin no Ken Wukuru or something. So Kurai, sorry. So it translates into take my Dragon Blade. This is when you see a dragon form around him as he whips out his Dragon Blade, and it completely annihilates if you play him right.
Steve's on it with me. This is potentially an adult program here. Take my Dragon Blade. Let me whip it out for you.
So, how to counter? Mei, as I said earlier, is a very good counter because it can't be deflected. Winston's a very good counter because he's got the shield to be able to protect him, and he can melt him very fast. Not to mention, he can take a lot of damage from Genji. Zarya is a good counter because, again, he doesn't deflect against that. And also McCree. McCree counters him very well. Also, there's a lot of characters that can counter him, but like I said, you need to know when he's going to hit that deflect. You need to be able to anticipate your enemy. And like I said earlier, Mark was very good against Genji when he was playing Bastion because he knew exactly when Bastion was going to get in front of him and hit that deflect button.
Yeah, you'll actually see, like, he starts to throw his sword, and you'll see, like, the green color go. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I do his Bastion, I just release my button, let him finish his animation, and then I finish him off. That's
Mark's just like, that's nice. Wave your sword around.
Yeah.
And now die.
I picture it as being a white flag.
I surrender. Too bad. All right. So that is Genji in a nutshell. If you guys have to add anything like Mark just did, feel free. You good?
Yeah, no, I'm not a very good Genji player.
But you want to be.
Yeah, I think he's an awesome character. I see people do work with him, but I am god-awful when I play him. It's hurtful.
I am too, and it's really his ultimate. I haven't quite mastered how to use it properly because to me he's just all over the place. You know, you try to get in the right direction, try to hit people, and you're moving so fast. I don't have that ability. Everything needs to be slow for me. I'm a little slower than that.
All right. Speaking of slow, do you want McCree?
Me?
Yes.
For the old 2 times I've played him, not really.
All right.
I can talk about him.
Go for it.
I played I haven't played him as much as I used to, but when the beta was out, that was my go-to guy.
Go for it.
I mean, so he's got 200 health. His main attack's Peacekeeper, which is just pretty much his revolver, just one-shotting. But his alternate, he fans it, so he lets go all 6 shots almost instantaneously for 270 damage, as well as the single shot does 35 to 75 damage. His evasion, or as everybody refers to it, his combat roll or his roll, that's really useful because it instantly reloads your Peacekeeper or your handgun, so you do wave of or fan the hammer, and then roll, and you instantly have 6 more shots. So if you can land his next defensive ability, which is his flashbang, you have almost any character in the game at your will, where you can put 12 shots on him and end anybody. Especially if you can land headshots, you can almost take anyone down.
So
just fan the hammer.
So on that, due to the fact that he does 270 damage, the only players that you can't kill right now, I mean, McCree has been nerfed, so I believe this was written after the nerf. McCree can't kill Roadhog or
Diva.
Diva, that's correct. McCree can't kill Roadhog, Diva, or Reinhardt. And the only
he can't kill Diva while she's in her mech. If she's out of her mech, she's toast.
Oh, yeah. So he can't kill Reinhardt. The only reason he can't is because armor does half the amount of damage. And because it's only 270 damage and Reinhardt has 500, and he's negating 250 of that, he'll be able to survive. And not for long, but he'll be able to get there.
And Roadhog, if you fan the hammer twice, he's left with like 40 health.
Yeah. So, go on.
His ultimate, Deadeye. It's another ultimate that when I hear, I hide behind a wall because I know I'm going to get shot by it. I'm a magnet for this ultimate. It's so annoying. But, when you use it, you'll get a bunch of red markers, and it's pretty much insta-kill most of the people. As we were talking about Genji, it can be deflected, if you're able to deflect a Deadeye, it's got to be one of the best feelings. I can't wait till I do it. But yeah, he's not an overly aggressive player. If you play too close, there are a ton of characters that can walk around you because you don't have the mobility. Mm-hmm. But from medium to semi-long range, you're extremely deadly. Yeah. Your Peacemaker is one to rival with. So, yeah, pretty much if you're able to use your flashbang when you're in one-on-one, keep separation between people, you're pretty much going to be a force on a team.
Cool.
Yeah, one of his actual ultimate, he says it's high noon. Yeah. And I had read somewhere that there was an interview with the voice actor that did the voice for McCree, and it was at one of these game conferences or game conventions, and he was saying that he actually plays the game Overwatch, and I guess while he plays, sometimes he keys up his microphone and he'll just say it's high noon just to get people to run. I thought that was an absolutely hysterical story. I hope it's true.
That's
because
awesome.
It's so funny. So yeah, I had seen that through my looks.
Now I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, if you can pinpoint his voice as deep as it is, that'd be great. Because you see everybody, everybody scatters as soon as he says it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what to listen for, how to counter. We've been going over. One thing I want to mention is his ultimate, it's high noon, as we were talking about, can be canceled before it actually goes off. If you right-click instead of left-clicking, you can cancel it and retain 50% of your ultimate, which is pretty impressive, considering the fact that you can gain it back really quick, especially if they have a Roadhog on the other team. So, before we go on, I don't think anybody has to add anything to him. McCree is a great character. He's been nerfed, so we haven't seen him being played as much, but when he gets played, it's usually by a skilled player. So
yeah, he's still viable as a character.
Yeah.
He's just not, unbelievably powerful like he used to be.
Yeah, so just be prepared when you play against him. Moving on to Pharah.
I can take Pharah.
Go for it.
All right, so Pharah has 200 health. She has her first ability is main tank. It's a rocket launcher. So you're going to get a 120 damage for a direct hit on someone, or about 80 for a splash if you're close. Her evasion is her jump jet. So Farah is meant to be played in the air and up from above the action for as long as you can stay up above the action. Her passive, skipping her defensive, but her passive is a hover. So apparently, I can't get this down yet, but apparently there are skilled players that can stay in the air for quite some time between the cooldown of, your evasion and your hover.
Yeah.
Now your hover is by a meter that displays in the center of the screen. It's basically her gas, so to speak, for whatever pack she's using that gets her in the air. And there's an empty and a full meter. And again, I haven't figured it out yet, but apparently skilled players can use that hover and that jump to keep themselves in the air for quite some time. So that's a strategy there. Defensively, she has a concussive blast. I know it pushes you. Does it stun you like McCree's? I'm not sure.
No, it just it pushes enemies away.
Right.
And it's basically used a lot on maps where you can hit people off the edge.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it pushed, but I didn't know if it stunned.
No. I don't know. It's called a concussive blast. It's just, I don't know why. It's just
Yeah.
Just a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it used. I don't recall ever having it done to me, but maybe I just assumed it was maybe Lucio bumping me away or something. But
yeah. The worst part about it is I've had it done to me quite a bit, and it was on Volscara Industries.
Mm-hmm.
Right when I go out the left entrance as Reaper, I see her in the air, and I'm like, oh, good, it's a Farah. I can kill her really quick. And I see this blue orb coming down. I'm like, I don't know what that move. Wah! And I'm falling off the edge of the map. And it does no damage, so it's like, it's just, it ruins my day.
Demoralizing?
Yeah, it is so much. Because I'm like, she didn't even do damage to me. She was just like, you go away. And I'm like, all right, you win. But, there.
Yeah, so she's meant to be played in the air as much as possible. You don't really want her to be on the ground. Her ultimate is Barrage. You'll see people launch themselves into the air and use this Barrage. So what it does is it shoots out 100 rockets over a 3-second time span.
I want to count it next time.
Yeah, right?
What's 3 for Pepsi?
Totaling 3,600 damage.
That is insane.
Per rocket. That is absolutely insane.
It's excessive.
When I found that number and I put it into the show notes, like, you guys can't see this, but I have an exclamation point right after damage, 3,600 damage, because that blew my mind. When I saw that number, I was like, how many characters can she actually just, like, she can melt through every single person if they're in a line.
Yeah, but you got to also remember that 3,600 damage is literally if you hit every single one of those rockets on one person.
Yeah.
It's kind of shared, so if you hit like 10 per character, it ends up being about 360, which will take out most characters.
Yeah.
So it is pretty brutal, and you hear it, justice reigns from above, and it's just... Yeah, exactly. That's the Team Roadhog. And people are running just like McCree when she yells it. So, and then I know my first intuition is to look straight up in the air and try to take her out.
Yeah. See, Mark's not worried about this because he's like, I've got 2 lives. I play Diva.
That's right. I play Diva. So you want to take out my mech, that's fine. But usually, if she gets me by the time her rockets are done firing, my animation of getting out of her mech is in completion. So, I get to run away and her barrage is over.
See, I got Tracer, so as soon as I hear it, I just instantly blink to the nearest house.
Yep, you're out.
Just use all 3, I'm out of there.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see how to use, again, like I said, you want to use her, you want to keep her in the air. I have used her on the ground, but she's just better in the air. I mean, if you just launch up, and even if there's a pile of guys, and you can just lob rockets down there, 80 damage splash is still pretty good if you're not getting a direct hit. So you can keep them going and take out, most players. Survivability, again, I think that all depends on how well you are staying in the air and staying out of the fray and just using her to strike from above.
Yes.
Yeah, so typically I use her, I see, payload, point capture, or both. I would use her both as long as I'm on the attacking team. I don't really see her as a defensive character, though, sometimes I play and people pick her as a defensive character. I mean, it's your prerogative, but I personally don't see her that way, so I only use her on attack.
Okay.
What to listen for? When she calls her ultimate, she says, "Justice reigns from above," and then everybody goes running, or tries to anyway. And she literally, I mean, it looks like she just opens up and everything's flying everywhere. And while you're up there, you get like a targeting reticule in the center of your screen, and you can move around, move your mouse or your thumbstick if you're playing on a console to kind of direct where you want all that fire to go.
Yeah.
So, again, from the air, which is where I believe Farah belongs most of the time.
Yes.
How to counter her? I know I personally like countering her with Bastion, because as soon as I hear Justice reigns from above, if I can look in her general direction, you'll probably hear Justice reigns from, and then she's gone.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you can take her out pretty quick, because she only has 200 health. So it only takes a few seconds to take her out, and she's not invincible during her ultimate, so you can kill her before completion. Other characters, I would say anybody that can put a lot of damage in a small confined space. Reaper would not be a good counter to Farah unless she's on the ground, obviously. But if you're playing Farah, like I said, you should be in the air. So guys like Soldier 76, maybe like a Tracer, somebody that has a straight line shot, of her.
Widowmaker does pretty well.
Widowmaker would be excellent, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because, like Mark was saying, there's a lot of attacking Farahs, so Widowmaker being on defense can always spot it as soon as she starts to fly.
Right.
Another person I play as a lot, and one of the best feelings in the world is when she jumps up there, is Roadhog. If I'm able to hit her with that hook, it pulls her out of her ultimate, and I don't care what I do the rest of the match. I just won.
That's right.
Internal wins is
just reigns from it. Like, no, get down here. You're done.
So, but yeah, that's what I got for Farah.
Cool, very cool. So we're moving on to Reaper. This is my favorite character. Probably, I think Reinhardt's my favorite in the game, but Reaper's my favorite attacker, most definitely. So his health is 250. His abilities, his main attack are his Hellfire shotguns. These do 80 to 280 damage. Now, that sounds like a lot, and I am even saying that, meaning I think it's like a little overpowered, but 280 damage is when you're charging into a payload or you're charging into a capture the point map and there's a Lucio jumping around and he happens to jump right in front of your guns with his face. And I say that because that has happened so many times, not just because I'm rip firing my guns, just because of the fact that I'm aiming towards the Lucio because he's the healer. Another thing is the turrets get melted down by these things. So his defensive ability is Wraith Form. I call this a defensive ability just because of the way I use it. It is technically an evasion ability because of the fact that you can get to certain points faster, but his Wraith Form is on an 8-second cooldown, lasts 3 seconds, and something I just found out today is you can pass through enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea I could pass through an enemy in the Wraith Form. So I know now there's going to be a lot of times where I stand in front of somebody and do it on purpose and just go behind them and shoot them in the face. But I digress. His evasion ability is Shadow Step. This gets him from one point to another. It usually is used to get him from higher points on the map. It has a 10-second cooldown and it lasts for 2 seconds. So you need to be aware of this because they haven't done the change, first of all, about the colors. That's the one thing that they haven't added. The second is because he has this 2-second cast time, one of the seconds is given to when he's doing it at the position you're at. The other second is given to the position he's appearing in. And that's kind of bad because if you end up showing up right next to somebody, one, you announce that you're there because Reaper does this thing like death always calls or something. And then the second part is it takes a second for you to take your weapons back out. And in that time, and I know Mark has done this a lot, you can just spray him down with a Diva, with a Bastion, With a Widowmaker, you can take your time to actually scope in front of yourself and shoot him. So you want to use this to get to higher points. If you want to try and use evasion to get behind the enemy for evasion, it's very good on that. His next ability is his passive ability. It's as you kill an enemy, or as other players kill an enemy, kind of like Torbjorn, where they drop scrap, they drop a soul. And you can go up to these souls and get 50 health from them. So you can basically regain your health without having to use a healer, without having to use medical packs or search around for them. And I've had a lot of the times where, and this is sad to say, but a lot of the games I've had gold healing just from collecting souls off of people. And that's just because we either had players that didn't want to play a healer, or we just had a healer that didn't want to play a healer. So finally, his ultimate, this is where everybody gets upset, is Death Blossom. Death Blossom deals 600 damage in a 360 degree radius. Now, just saying that out loud sounds hilarious, but this lasts for 3 seconds. He walks into a crowd of people and he just screams, "Die, die, die!" And this 600 damage is all the way around him. You can't stop this from happening unless you kill him directly. A lot of the times, because he's moving so fast, or you go in behind people, a lot of people don't know that it's going to happen. And this is usually a team wipe, or a 4-person kill, or a triple kill. I've gotten a quintuple kill once before, so that felt really good. But everybody complains about this because of the fact that Reaper only has to press Q in order to be good, which I don't believe is the case, but it does very well. That's
but let me
I'll
ask
say.
you this. How many times have you been in a game with a Reaper, and I've noticed this a lot,
Sure.
where he'll literally be standing right next to me and do die, 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 and I won't die?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like his directionals aren't a complete 360. I know he turns in 360,
Yeah.
but it like fires out, like if you can imagine a plus sign
Yeah.
with a multiplication sign. So if you're in between one of those areas, you're not going to get hit.
I believe you can evade it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And a personal strategy that I use is when I hear die, 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 it's probably pretty accurately what's going to happen to me. So I try to turn to where he is and just focus all my fire on him to stop it.
yeah,
Just a little personal tip that I use.
I completely disagree with what Mark is saying. Everybody should look away from me when I'm using my ultimate, because I want you to die, die, die every
That's
time. But no, that is an excellent strategy. Being able to kill the Reaper before he can kill you is what you want to do.
Because you're probably going to die, so why not focus your energy?
Mhm.
If everybody turns to him, you might be able to take him out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility it gives the other team an advantage because you're concentrating on one player, but the fact that you can turn the game around just by surviving that thing is very good.
Yep.
I'd like to apologize in advance when we play together or against each other, I guess. Because when I hear die, 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 as you know, I use Tracer a lot.
You're gone,
That's another one. I'm gone.
Blink, blink,
You're
blink, you're
you're
out of
gonna
there,
see
right?
a cloud of smoke and just that's another one that as soon as I hear it, which I'm rarely around it because Tracer usually shouldn't be played as a group person.
Yeah, she's
They're supposed to be out there annoying the enemy, distracting them.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear die, die, die. Most of the time, I don't think he's around me, but if I see him, nope. But playing as him, I am the worst Reaper. I've used that so many times in a group of people and only killed one. And I'm just so baffled. I was like,
I've had
everybody
that.
tells me how easy it is.
Yep.
And I disagree because it's so easy. Why am I not getting kills with him?
Yeah, Reaper's definitely a player that you need to have accuracy with your shotguns. You need to just be accurate and be aware of your surroundings all the time. Because he has 250 health, so it's 50% more than any other attacker, which is interesting. Anyway, so just pay attention when you're playing him. Another way to counter him, as we're talking about counters, is his ultimate. Reinhardt can take the brunt of his ultimate easily with his shield. So if you happen to have that cast on you and you're the Reinhardt, just turn around and try to get him on the other side of your shield, because the one thing about his ultimate is he can move. A Reaper can move as this is happening, and that kind of hinders against a Reinhardt because when he has a shield out, he's slow. But the fact that you can get up your shield and start backtracking as you see him coming towards you might save your life and save other teammates' lives. We went over how to use his survivability. We went over that as well. Payload and point capture, he is amazing on both. I don't think I will ever use him on a defense play, but every time I'm on attack, he's always the first one I pick. I've got an obsession with people in masks, I guess. That's just my thing. A little masochist, maybe. But what to listen for, we already went over. To die, and how to counter, I think we went over that the most. So moving on, this is...
Real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to share what pops into my head when I think of Reaper now.
Sure.
When this game first came out, I tried Reaper, and I decided to use his... I call it the teleport. The real name's what is it? Shadow
Step, yeah.
And I went into a building that I was like, oh, that window's going to be perfect to shoot down the enemy. And so as I came out, I learned you don't pull your guns out quick enough to defeat a Hanzo and a Widowmaker who already have your head in their sight.
Oh yeah.
That's all I remember is coming through and looking down the barrel of a gun and an arrow coming at me.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of now with Reaper.
Yeah, like I said, I only use his Shadow Step to get either from the initial point closer to the capture point or behind everybody.
Yeah. Just be
And
weary of those rooms you think are empty.
Get as far back as you can. Like, there's been plenty of times where I've actually Shadow Stepped and been next to a Widowmaker and immediately had to use my Wraith form to stop her from killing. But that's one thing you have to pay attention to. So, Mark, I believe you wanted Soldier.
Yeah, Soldier 76. I wanted Soldier 76 because he's so incredibly easy.
Okay.
To me,
Call of Duty.
He might as well be a character from Call of Duty. Exactly. If you're first entering Overwatch and you've played Call of Duty before and you're unsure of what character you're going to start with,
Tracer.
Yeah, start with Soldier 76. It's going to get you a feel for the game, for the maps, and you'll still be able to play. And why is that? Because Soldier 76 plays exactly like a Call of Duty character.
Mm-hmm.
He has 200 health. He's got a pulse rifle. It's like a machine gun in Call of Duty. This deals 50 to 170 damage. His alternate is his Helix rockets. It has an 8-second cooldown, deals 120 damage, and it has an area of effect damage. It's very small, it's not very big, but it does have an area of effect damage. For his evasion, he has a sprint, and if you just... It ends if you do any other action is the key here. So you can set off a sprint and run pretty much infinitely until you get to where you want to go. It combos great with Lucio if you're running to a point, because Lucio will set off his speed, and then you'll set off your run, and it's like he's almost hard to control him. He's moving so fast. So he also has the biotic field, so he basically can throw down... to me, it looks like a can. You know, I don't know what it is exactly. He throws it down on the ground, and it creates a circle in the ground, and it's an area where you can heal while you're standing in that circle. It also heals your teammates as well, so that's key. And usually when I use it, I will throw it down, and I'll stand in that circle for as long as I possibly can and try to kill off as many guys as I can, because I'm constantly getting a heal. His ultimate is his tactical visor, and this is probably, in my personal opinion, the cheapest ultimate in the game. But it is what it is, right? So he sets off his tactical visor, and it basically is an aimbot. You literally are automatically going to aim at anybody on the screen. So you just set off tactical visor and start firing, and as long as you're pointing in their general direction, the gun will move itself and automatically target. It actually puts targets on all the enemies' heads, and you'll automatically target all of them in that area, and probably kill a vast majority of them in the process. How to use them? Again, Call of Duty style. If you play Call of Duty, you'll love Soldier 76. It's just that character. Survivability. When I use him, I throw him in the thick of battle. If I need to, I step back and use the what's it called, the biotic field, and heal if possible. Payload. Listen to me. It's getting late. Payload, point, and capture. I will use them for both. Again, as long as I'm on attack. Soldier 76, in my opinion, is not a defensive character. I've seen people pick him on defense. I don't argue with people that make those choices, but I personally would not pick him on defense. And what to listen for when he casts his ultimate cast. Look at me, I'm playing like Magic or something here. I'm telling you, it's getting late. So when he calls his ultimate in, he says tactical visor. What is it? Indicated?
Initiated.
Initiated.
I probably spelled that like horribly wrong.
Yeah. We go back to English class. Tactical visor initiated, and then you'll actually see an animation of a visor come in front of it, kind of floats in front of him, and it's, I guess, assumed that that's what helps him aimbot everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it is. It sounds funny, but that's literally what it is. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're just starting an Overwatch and you're unsure of who to pick, and you are like a Call of Duty type, Halo type player, I personally would recommend going with Soldier 76. So you can learn the ins and outs of the maps and just how the game plays, and move on to other characters. Yeah,
I agree. A couple things I want to add with the tactical visor that Mark hates so much is he gains auto aim even on his rockets, which is insane. Yeah. So you can just, like, they can be dodged, but that's crazy that he's just like, fire 3 rockets in that direction. But one thing for people that want to play against him, because everybody will at one point or another, count to 6. If you hear tactical visor initiated, just count to 6 seconds, because that's how long it takes for it to go down.
Probably get behind cover and count to 6.
Well, yeah. Don't stand out in the open and then count to 6 seconds.
Chad said count to 6.
Get behind this guy over here and count to 6 seconds.
That's Tracer again, leaving the scene.
That's right.
So, finally, mentioning Tracer, that is our last character. Steve, take it over.
So I have the luxury of talking about the best character in the game.
Boo.
She's good. I've been enjoying her more lately.
Yeah, Tracer. We actually just saw one of your Tracer
play the
games up there.
Oh, when I crept up on the Widowmaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So Tracer, unfortunately, only has 150 health. She has the lowest health out of all the attackers, and I think the game. And that is
correct.
Having to do with how elusive she is, which we'll cover here in a sec. So her main attack, she has 2 pulse pistols. They deal 60 to 240. If you're really good at aiming, you can saw through people pretty quick. She has a blink, which I use right click, but I believe you said you liked using the shift.
I do, yeah.
So there's 2 different ways that are defaulted for you.
Yeah, I'm a right clicker.
Yeah, I happen to like that too.
Yeah.
So refills every 3 seconds. Oh, the blink. Sorry. So the blink, you travel about 3 to 5 meters. I think it is.
I think it's 7.
7?
Yeah,
okay.
I saw 7 meters.
But you get 3 of them, so you can travel a great distance if you want to use all 3. I would recommend not, because if you save 1 to get out of that moment you come across a Reaper 2 feet away from you, and you can back up to get away from his strong hits, that's going to benefit you greatly. He's also, or she, sorry, I keep saying he. Tracer is a female. If you haven't watched the video, she's actually really funny. But she's got a defensive recall button, which is going to send you back, I think it's... How long's the recall?
How long does it last?
No, it sends you back, what, 3 seconds?
It sends you back... No, 1.25.
1.2, okay. So that's one of my favorite things to do, because people love to chase you. And if you come around a door without them seeing and you hit it real quick, you're suddenly behind them, and you can put that 240 damage to work. And her ultimate kills just about everybody except for, I think it was 4 people, if you can sticky them. I know it doesn't kill Reinhardt, obviously Roadhog. Who else was it?
And obviously, whenever we say this, we're talking about maximum health. If they're down a little bit, they're down.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
This is if I come against a Roadhog and I throw the sticky on him, he's going to have 200 health.
Yeah.
And if I'm having a good day and I can get some headshots...
Yeah, you still got some work to do.
Yeah.
It won't kill D.Va in a mech either. That's
true.
Yeah.
I mean, she's if she's in her mech, she's not getting taken
And
out
I
by
think
any
it was...
result.
not Bastion. Who was the other tank it wouldn't kill?
Zarya? Or Winston.
Winston,
No,
that's who it was.
Zarya.
It won't kill Winston, it will kill Zarya. So, it's a really strong one, and my suggestion is to you save a blink or two, you get close to somebody, you sticky them, because that's how you're going to get the most out of your ultimate, and then you use your recall, and it just sends you back out of the blast radius.
Yeah, so why? Why would you want to do that?
Well, it can kill you.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you, I've done it quite a few times where I thought I had a recall, or I thought I had a blink, and I threw it on somebody's back, and I'm snickering already, and then I'm like, uh-oh. And next thing I know, I use my ultimate to kill him and me.
Right.
I mean, 1 for 1 is not what I'm going for, but sometimes I'll take it. Yeah, so that's Tracer. As I said, to use her, you want to keep moving around, because she has that 150 health. So use your blinks, recall, try and fool people, which that's probably my favorite part, is when I can make somebody walk around a corner and keep looking for me when I'm walking behind them. But aside from that, survivability, she's weak. Stay out of... If you get to know the game, you start to learn people like Reaper. If you engage at a longer range, you can... Reaper has a hard time killing you because his weapons aren't as strong, where you're shoot farther. So if you can land headshots from medium to long range on Reaper, you can take a Reaper easy. But then again, if you're too close, that take one shot to the face.
Yeah.
So, capture point. Like I said earlier, she's more of a distraction. So if you can shoot a few people, get them off the point to come at you, that's going to help your team more than you trying to run around a point with only 150 health.
Makes
so
sense.
she is definitely a more distraction person. I use her a lot more on attack than defend, because as attack you're really going to want that distraction, where defend you really want to pick somebody that's going to be able to defend a point, not just distract people.
Okay.
So
now, a couple things to point out about Tracer. One, when there is an overtime, when you guys have an overtime, if you know that you need to regain the capture point, like it's an overtime against you, then somebody should always switch to Tracer, because she can go in and out and reset, and then get her blinks back and go in and out and reset it all over again.
Right.
So that's something that it's really important for teammates to realize. If they have somebody that's on the point controlling an overtime, like a Reinhardt, not the healer, but an attacker should switch to Tracer, so that they can continue to get that back and forth going, so that you can control the point.
Because the key is she doesn't have to take the point. She just has to stand on it for a second, and it resets that clock.
Oh man, when she throws down her little mine, she says, "Wait for it."
Yeah.
Which, another thing I want to point about the mine, she does not throw it very far.
Okay.
So there's been a few times where Reinhardt has been not that far away from me, and I go to throw it, and it lands at my feet.
Okay.
So definitely, you want to make sure you're up close and personal with them, and get ready to get out of there as soon as you drop it.
Yeah.
And I have found using her, you can increase that distance a little bit if you look up in the air a little bit. She kind of lobs it up and over, but it's not a whole lot. You have to be aware that it doesn't go very far in front of you.
Also be prepared, because there's a lot of times that when you're playing against a Reinhardt, you can stick it to his shield, and that's not going to do anything. So it'll just break the barrier, maybe, and then you go on about your day trying to recover that ult that you wasted. But other than that, those are the attackers. I don't think we missed anything on Tracer, other than the fact that she's the bane of my existence as a Reinhardt, and I see a Tracer on defense or attack, I guess. I never want to see the Tracer, because first of all, swinging the hammer, I feel like I'm mentally handicapped. Swinging at a Tracer, it looks like I'm a kid trying to hit a butterfly with a 16-ton hammer. And I'm like, I can't swing this fast enough to hit him. I don't know why. Maybe it's because she's so goddamn fast. But no, it's something I don't want to experience. So for all attackers or defenders out there, please kill my Tracer, because I don't want to do it. I do not want to deal with a Tracer ever. All right, so on that, we are moving to the tip of the week.
Tip of the week.
So, now that everybody knows what we're doing, overtime lasts only 10 minutes. Now that we're talking about overtime, pay attention to this. Overtime can last 10 minutes long. That is ridiculous. That, like, to my knowledge, that is ridiculous. If you're able to continue to take over a point and trade back, that's how long it can last. But it progressively ticks down faster every minute. So, the longer it progresses towards 10 minutes, the shorter amount of time it takes for that line to get to the bottom. If a defender can win, this is the point I'm making. If you're defending and they've switched to Tracer, they played a very good strategy, for some reason they're being able to reset that overtime time and time again. If you're past 3 minutes, that overtime line is going to go down much, much faster than it was at the first minute it started. Now, if you get it to the 8 or 9 minute mark, which I can see happening in competitive play, it's basically a split second the line takes to go down. So I guess case in point is just stay on there and keep your players off. Switch over to those Lucios to bounce them back, or switch to those Winstons so that you have the shield inside. Keep that Reinhardt knocking people out of there, because you can take it over within a split second. I don't know how many times I've been a hair away from an overtime thing when it was going down, and I missed it just because my foot didn't step over the stupid line. But that is the tip of the week. We are going to be giving our shout outs. Let's start with our guest stars, Legend of Steve. So go for it, man.
All right, so Legend of Steve, you can catch me at twitch.tv/Legend of Steve. I don't have a set schedule at the moment, but I'm always stopping in here to watch this broadcast, as well as now being a guest star. I'm usually in the chat. I don't seem to make it on time because I'm not timely.
No, it's because you're over in California time.
I was in California, so I didn't really do the math. But yeah, usually I make it like halfway through, so I'm in the chat. I try and keep it lively. Everyone say hi. Also, I got a Twitter if you want to know when I'm streaming or what I'm doing. I'll be putting more posts when I'm attending to here.
And your Twitter is?
Twitter.com/LegendSteve.
Or at Legend of Steve, yeah. So,
I'm not hip with all the fancy
hashtags?
symbols yet. Yeah, I have all my stuff set up to auto post, so my Twitter keeps everyone up to date, because I'm computer illiterate when it doesn't come to games.
Which is good to know. Good to know. So, Mark, everybody knows you if they've been watching, but do you want to give a last minute, like, who you are and how to find you?
Yeah, sure. You can find me. I am the Freak on YouTube. The link is down below in the description. You'll also find me on the Battlewatch Facebook page. And if you're on and you want to play, you can find me through Battle.net, the Freak, #11944.
Yeah, nice. And finally, myself, you guys are watching my channel, so please feel free to comment and subscribe. We're going to do this every week. We're going to try and bring updated information. Next week is going to be a doozy. We're going to be talking about how to interact with your fellow players in the game. Because a lot of people think that they're in high school, and that's not what we want. We want to play as a team. We won't want the jocks on one side and the nerds on another side. We want everybody to commingle, because I used to be a jock and now I'm a nerd. So everybody can have their own fun. And it's just like, I digress because I'm joking a lot, but the fact is, the more people play as a team, the more games you're going to win. And the more your opponents play as a team, the funner the games are going to be. So just enjoy the game, try and enjoy each other. I know there's going to be times when people get salty. It makes sense because everybody has their own way of coping with everything. But that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to try and get into it so that we can talk about how people should react or how people can react if they feel certain ways. I don't like being killed by Reaper as much as I love killing people as Reaper, but it's something that I have to do. I'm sorry. So, but no, it's going to be a fun stream. I don't think we're going to have a guest star. We might be able to pull one in at the last minute, but that will just be a surprise if we do. So thanks everybody for stopping by. We're going to enjoy this each and every week. Feel free to comment and subscribe again, and I guess we're out.
That's it.
Bye. See you, Steppy.
Yes, Steppy. See you, man.